So, good morning and welcome to another of the Dunkers podcasts. Now, before we start, I want to say a big thank you to both Jason Hurd and Emma Woods, because Jason helps us on the tech side of the Dunkers podcast. And Emma is our social media and show support. And without them, I think we'd probably just bumble along a bit, whereas they try and smooth out the bumps. So today on Dunkers Podcast, we meet somebody I hadn't met until a few days ago, but she was on the opposing time of an Abersoch tug-of-war. But I swear that the village breeze whispered her name even before then. She's a force, a lawyer by trade, lifeboat skipper by thrill, and part-time Article 4 warrior queen. Elissa Williams is one of those Abersoch souls who does a week's worth of a living before most of us finish our tea. When she's not steering rescue boats or running marathons for fun, she's convincing Welsh policymakers to think again over Article 4, or welcoming holidaymakers to one of the most magical corners of Britain, our beloved Llŷn Peninsula. Elissa's energy feels part human, part storm system. She's got a racing bib in one hand, community spirit pumping through every vein. So settle in, because if you think cold water's wild, wait till you hear what Superwoman gets up to before breakfast. Elissa, welcome to Dunkers Podcast.
Good morning. I don't think there's anything left for me to say after that. What an introduction.
We'll scrape it back and we'll revisit some of those points. Where do we start? Let's start with our tug of war. That was a close thing, wasn't it?
It was, and what a day it was. And, you know, I was saying to almost anyone who would listen to me after that is anyone who says there's no community in Abersoch should have been on the beach that evening. It was such a wonderful community afternoon. We had the lifeboat there, we had the Coast Guard there, we had the Dunker teams, and the farmers. It was just wonderful. I mean, my arms didn't recover for about a fortnight. It was significantly harder than I thought it was going to be.
It's not getting hold of a rope and standing there, is it?
It's really, really not. And we were the only all-women's team as well. So we were obviously pulling against mixed teams, which the regatta committee looked very confuddled by when we turned up and we said, we'll pull against anyone. It's fine. But it was significantly more difficult than we thought it was going to be.
Was your husband on the farmers team?
No, he was on the lifeboat team.
Oh, was he on? Right, okay. Somebody told me that.
He's very competitive as spirits. For anybody who knows him, competitiveness is right up there. It's probably why we get on so well and argue so much. They were so. What should we say? I don't want to say disappointed. So riled up with the result between the lifeboat crew and the farmers that even after the trophies were given, they challenged them to another tug and promptly lost that one as well.
Oh, did they? Did they? We got the kids with us, so we left the beach before that. Yeah, there
was a final tug of war after the prizes had been given, which yes, they still lost.
Oh well, yeah. But mind you, you look at the farmers. Be honest, we're not going to have nobody's going to.
And they know what they're doing. They do this stuff at the agricultural shows. There's a technique to tug of war. And so I think they had the advantage over the rest of us.
Yeah, there was we got about, I think there was 2 teams of Dunkers, 12 in all, and there was probably 10 captains, all giving us different instructions at different times. Yeah. So if they do it at agricultural shows, then obviously they're used to it.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. And my father-in-law told me very sagely, he said there's a technique to it. It's not all about how strong you are. And I think you could see that with them. They were all in tune. They knew what they were doing. There was good communication, good leadership, whereas the rest of us all just sort of collapsed into a heap on the sand.
Yeah, we absolutely did. And all thought that, we can't do that again, but you just get yourself back up again and don't you?
Yeah.
So just link it all together for me. Set the scene. What's this? Because you were wanting to be an international lawyer.
I did. So I had a very sort of traditional legal education and journey. So I did my law degree in Cardiff University. And when I graduated and headed off to go and do my LPC, so my legal practice course with the College of Law, I was absolutely determined I was going to do tax law on an international basis. That's what I decided I was going to do. I was lucky enough to do my training contract, or for those who are a few generations before, my articles with a company called what was Hammonds, got taken over by a big US corporate firm called Squire Patton Boggs. So I spent 2 years with one of the largest law firms in the world, sort of working on that international basis. on my first day in the firm as a trainee, I got dropped into the employment department and everything changed.
Really?
I just absolutely fell in love with the subject area. I'd never studied it. I'd never studied employment law. I never did it at university. I never did it on the legal practice course, but I absolutely fell in love with it. And that was it. International tax went out the window and employment law, there we were. And it's been that ever since.
Why? Is it, have you got I know you've got a sense of community, but you've clearly got a sense of fairness.
I would say so. I mean, in the big international companies, you don't do much of the traditional stuff like family law, criminal law. I never really had a pull towards those. I always thought, if things go wrong in criminal law, someone could lose their liberty without deserving to.
Sure.
With family law, people can lose their children, their homes. The consequences are huge in those sorts of areas. Whereas employment, generally people get over losing their jobs. You're not going to get, you're not going to get your house burnt down, if things go wrong. It's a fascinating area of the law. Things move very, very quickly, as we're seeing with the Labour government now. There's a huge amount of change coming in. Our entire legal landscape's changing, and you have to get to grips with that very, very quickly. Yeah. And what was key for me, you work very, very closely with people. So I love working with people. I love getting to know people from different backgrounds, and tax just doesn't really have that. It was that, being in a position where you get to problem solve, work with people, but actually if it all goes wrong, people get over it.
So, and why is it so dynamic? Is it because when a policy is brought in, it just affects everybody?
It's
so
hugely
quickly?
Policy driven. So what we're seeing with the Labour government is, basically our employment legislation is based on the Employment Rights Act, which was written in, the 90s.
It is as new as that, is it? I thought you were going to say 1837 or something.
But now what we're seeing is, I'd say in some areas they're trying to modernise, but say, for example, if you've got someone who is employed, you don't have the right to sue your employer for unfair dismissal unless you've been employed for 2 years. What the Labour government is bringing in is a day one right. Okay. So if someone walks into their job on the first day, it doesn't work out, employer lets them go, they would be in a position to sue that employer. So when you think about areas like Abersoch, where we have hospitality is one of the main industries, the risks for employers is going to become significant, isn't it? So it is a generational change that we're going to be seeing, along with things like significant reductions and restrictions on the use of 0 hours contracts.
Right.
That if people have worked for a certain period, you then have to guarantee them those hours in the future. So you could get to September when typically everyone would be released, and you have to guarantee them hours through the winter on the same basis that they've had through the summer, which would bury businesses in this area between that and the day one rights. Yeah. So they're very trade union led in terms of the policies that are being brought out. And they made a lot of manifesto promises, which they are seeing through. But my feeling is it's done without ever having worked in a small business or in seasonal businesses that are reliant on casual labour or student labour. So for areas like here, it's going to be particularly challenging. I did a free workshop for some businesses at the start of the season to talk about what's coming and what businesses need to make sure that they've got in place and how they can use this summer almost like a trial run, because the laws aren't here yet. So let's try it in like kind of a low risk environment. And I am going to be doing more of those.
When does the laws come in?
So they're going to be phased in through 2026 and 27. Okay. We will see some later on this year, which won't really affect businesses here quite so much. But yeah, it's something, again, it's not me going out fishing for work. I'm passionate about the area that I live in. And if we lose the businesses that are here, there's no community left. So
exactly that. Yeah. And you sort of think of, when you think of 0 hours and you think of how people have been or potentially been exploited, you think automatically of companies like Amazon. Yeah. Well, they're big enough to be able to sort of stand that, I guess.
And that's what they're legislating for. It's the Tesco barons and things like that. Yeah. They don't think about, your pub in the village. No. The trade drops off in September. Yeah. And I've been one of those 0 hours workers. I've worked in bars in the village when I was a teenager. You don't expect hours in September, and you expect to be exploited during the summer because you want the money as well. Exactly. You'll pull the 100-hour weeks because you want to go back to university with loads of drinking money. That's the way it goes.
Absolutely. So, but it will, they are going to have a practice at least.
Yeah, it's very much, it's very much going to change the face of the way that people are employed. And like I say, it's something that that I'm hoping to be able to support people with in the area on a totally pro bono basis, just to make sure, that I can help and be there to help businesses
Well, the
survive.
fact that you had that workshop was amazing, because and people just presumably, as these things develop and get nearer to the deadline date, you'll be presumably doing that again for people.
Yes, yeah. So I'll do them regularly over the coming months, and just make sure that we're topping up that knowledge and people have got what they need.
Is that the sort of the drive that got you behind this Article 4 warrior queen? Because I was told before I met you, somebody said, "Oh, Elissa, yes, she's a real warrior queen on this Article 4.
I think someone's overstating that slightly. I mean, I'm part of a much wider team.
That's so I believe that there's a few of you.
Been working to try and change things in this area. We had the judicial review hearing a few weeks ago. We're waiting on the judgment at the moment, so it's a sit and wait at the moment to see what happens with it. The Article 4 stuff for me was, I didn't feel it was well thought through enough, in the sense that we have two communities, or we used to have two communities in Abersoch. We had the people who lived here all year round, and then you would have the people who would come for the duration of the school holidays. They would stay in their houses for the entirety of the summer. Their children would go and work in the local businesses, and they become part of the fabric of the community during those holiday weeks. What we're seeing now, one, because of the increase in council tax, and two, because of the threats of Article 4, is people who can no longer afford to come for the summer. They need to be renting their homes out to pay for the council tax. So they're coming for a week, and then they rent their homes out via Airbnb or whatever for the rest of the season.
Right.
So that we don't see the regular faces anymore. We used to go into the pub in the summer and we would know every face that was in there.
There were summer faces.
There were summer faces, but they were part of that community. Now we can go in and it is a room full of strangers. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's fresh trade coming into the village, but I think we're seeing increasing antisocial behaviour. We're seeing increasing damage in the holiday lets. It's driving the price of those holiday lets down, so people who aren't making as much money, and it is changing the face and the feel of the village, because we don't have those regulars here so much. And there isn't this incoming flux of students and young people who are able to help staff the local businesses that then really struggle to find the staff, because they're not here for the duration anymore. So in that sense, I think it's hugely challenging for locals who have holiday lets to be told that your house isn't a legitimate business because you haven't rented for 180 whatever days it is. Well, I don't live in that house because I have a house that I live in. Who's it to tell me that because I haven't hit some arbitrary threshold that it's not a legitimate business?
Really?
It's astounding, and when they've got farms who were told to diversify, turn old farm buildings into holiday lets, and they're now being penalised. I can see what they're trying to do. There is an issue for young people not being able to get on the housing ladder. But it's the same where I grew up. My sister wanted to buy a house near where we grew up, and she can't afford to do so. Right. So they buy a house further out, do it up, move on. It's called the housing ladder.
We've all been there, haven't we?
We have. Yeah. And I feel like it's skipping those steps. But when we are being realistic, no matter how many policies you throw at this area, you are not going to get someone who's 23 years old on minimum wage with a partner on minimum wage who is able to buy a house in the centre of Abersoch.
No, absolutely.
It's not going to happen. So we're going to end up with empty homes, and it's going to create a community that becomes a vacuum.
Yeah.
And it was for that reason that I joined the Article 4 team, is because yes, Article 4 for some areas may well work, but I don't think it should have been retrospective. It should have applied to new builds. And I think that certain areas that are so hugely reliant on tourism for their economies should have been carved out. And I think the blanket approach and the retrospective approach was fundamentally wrong.
Do you think this was driven by Gwynedd Council, or was Gwynedd just sort of finger pointed by sort of South Wales?
No, I believe it's been driven by Gwynedd Council.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, and even the sort of the vote, I mean, I'm not going to get into it here because that'll be too political, but the vote was very, very skewed, wasn't it? The amount of people that were allowed to vote, and the amount of people that had to abstain because of vested interest, etc. As you said, farmers, they put millions and millions into doing these properties up. Now, and we hear, as you know, we've got an Airbnb. We hear that people are saying, well, it's really tough out there.
Yeah, it is tough out there. And, I did engage in consultation. I wrote to local leadership and local councils, and the responses that we got back were very frustrating, which was in response to a well-reasoned argument. You would get essentially the sum total of, if you don't support Article 4, you support homelessness. We don't have a
Gosh, that's a bit
homelessness issue
dramatic.
in the Llŷn Peninsula.
No.
We don't. If there's one in Bangor, put Article 4 on in Bangor or Carnarvon. You know,
Exactly.
that is not how you fix a homeless problem,
No.
by applying Article 4 into areas like this where we are so driven by tourism. I can understand that they want locals to try and establish more sustainable businesses that are more economically sustainable year round.
Yeah.
But I don't think the blunt force approach to force people out of tourism is the way to do that. I think you do it through small business grants, that you do it through looking at things like hot desking workspaces. How many people put on the Abersoch appreciation page in the summer, is there anywhere I can sit with a laptop and a stable connection and work for the afternoon?
Right.
There are just no facilities like that.
No.
And for young people, I've got stepchildren who really have worked incredibly hard so that they can build a life. One has been and come back. One drives 77 miles each way to get to work.
Ridiculous.
Just so that they can stay in this area. Whereas if you had local enterprise support where people can go and work for a day, and it's something I feel quite strongly about, is that the village school's a bit of a lost opportunity in that respect.
I thought that wasn't that. I know this is a sidetrack. Yeah. Wasn't that going to be one of the sort of target applications for that?
It was one of the things I submitted. Was I felt that there should be space for people to be able to go and hot desk and then have a childcare provision in the next room. So where you've got young local mums who want to get back to work. Yeah. It's very, the assumption that everyone can just work from home is for the privileged. Not everybody has the space to be able to do that or the ability to get childcare. So I think what they're doing with the school, it's great, but I do think there is a need, if the focus is on employability and giving people opportunities outside tourism, we've got to give them the facilities to do it, particularly if we are taking so many opportunities away at the same time.
They did try that in Buttonog, didn't they? There's a school in Buttonog that...
so there's a centre up there that I think has done all right. It's just, it's out the way.
I was going to say, the problem is it's Buttonog. It's just that bit. I mean, it isn't that far, but it's far enough to... Especially when you've got kids that you've got to be careful of. 3 o'clock, pick them up. Which means you leave from Buttonog, you're leaving at 22. It isn't practical, is it?
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, look, the area's got lots of issues, but I still wouldn't live anywhere else, and I love the fact that people are trying. So, the fact the village school's gone in a different direction, well, look, let's hope it's a huge success and, it's going to be another asset for the village. And, the feeling here, despite the Article 4, I think that has, drawn people together to think, well, look, we'll still try and make a success of the area because it's all our livelihoods, isn't it? Yeah,
because in fairness, there are 1 or 2 other buildings around the village that could be redeployed into a workspace, for example. Either that or everybody's going to have to go to the one on the Warren, aren't they?
Well, I did manage to go there for a while. So I had a friend who was able to use a guest pass to get me in for a few weeks. It's empty.
Is it?
That workspace, 1, it's fantastic. 2, it's empty. So I have been banging on that door for ages to try and hassle the Warren management into letting local people either have a membership or pass it. They won't have it.
No, not even a concession. No.
It's for the Lifeboat. We've been trying to use their gym for years and they won't let us use it. So, but it is what it is. I can understand it's exclusive, particularly given what people pay to be on there. So you can understand that. Yeah. But there's no harm in asking, is there?
No. But the Lifeboat, I mean, there's another big part of your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going in at 18, and you've been.
I went in at 18.
Long time now.
Yeah. So in January it'll be my 20th year.
Wow.
So I know it only looks like it's been 6, but
enamel badges. You need a 20-year enamel badge.
They do. They give us long service awards.
Oh, do they?
So once you get to 20 years, I think you get your first one, and then you get them at, I think it's 25, 30, 35, 40 maybe. So Fritz, my husband, he's had his... I'll get shouted at now for getting this wrong. He's either over his 30 or his 35th.
Oh, wow.
So he's done a very long time. Yeah. I'll be in line for 20 next year. Was he the one that got
you into it? Or
no, we met at the station. So it's a bit of an embarrassing story is how I got into it. So I was a competitive sailor as a teenager.
Right. Down here?
Here, round the coast.
Oh, right.
So at quite a high level. I mean, at university, I was in talks with Team GB.
Okay.
And I've sailed in national events. So catamarans were my thing, you know. So, and I did very well at it as a teenager. I been out in some questionable conditions, which in hindsight I probably shouldn't have done, which resulted in me requiring a bit of assistance.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I remember, I remember at the time, I wanted to raise money while I was at school. And I remember my grandmother telling me to focus on my studies. She said, look, raising money for charity, you'll always earn more money. She said, the one thing in your life that you can never get back is your time. She said it's the most valuable thing that you can give, because once it's been given, that is it.
Yeah, wise words.
So when I was 18, I joined up, and that was it.
Okay.
So, and it has had 20 years of my life so far.
Gosh, brilliant. And you still enjoy it?
I still enjoy it.
Are you a boat captain or a boat?
So I'm a helm.
Yeah.
Helm. So on the larger boats, the all-weather boats, so Portland Line, Pichelli size, they call them coxswains.
Okay.
We have helms.
Okay.
And I've been a helm for 6, coming on for 7 years now. So,
and there are 3 females in the team, I understand.
We've got 4 now.
Got 4?
We've got 4 now. So yeah, and
I hope that 4th one will forgive me.
Yeah. So we've got myself. There's my stepdaughter Ensley.
Okay.
Ensley's been on the crew for 5-6 years. Recently come back from maternity leave, so she's our first maternity returner. We've got Joe and Kate, who both joined us within the last couple of years. So it's nice. We're building a real female team there.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping we'll get our first all-female launch within the next year.
Lovely.
Yeah, which would be a nice point for me.
Yeah, there'll be a headline or 2 there.
Yeah,
I think
I'm sure.
Woods was telling me that when he was here, he was telling me there was about 18 altogether, wasn't there? 18 volunteers.
Yeah. So for the seagoing team, I think there might even be more than that.
Wow.
Now we're quite a big team. But then we also have the shoreside team. So we have shore crew, we have our LOM, which is our lifeboat operations manager, and then we have launch authorities who are like deputies for the LOM. Obviously the press teams, we've got Emma, we've got Sarah. So there is a wider team as well as all the fundraisers. Yeah, it's not just us who get to go do the sexy stuff that are the key part. We couldn't do it without the fundraising team. We couldn't do it without the station team either.
No, and I think the fundraising team, it's one of the best fundraising areas, isn't it, for RNLI?
They do very, very well. Yeah. They do. Their events are really fun. I get to go to a few just as sort of one of the benefits of being on the crew.
So you should. Absolutely.
Yeah, invariably, there always a day when I end up having to book a day off work afterwards. But no, it's another community here. Lots of stations within the RNLI talk about the RNLI family. For us, that really, really is a thing.
Really?
I would trust the other helms with my life. If I went out on a big shout with any one of the other helms, I would never question the conditions. I trust them implicitly. And it's, often if something were to go wrong in life, I would struggle to think of somebody outside of that team that I'd be calling first. It really is.
That's a real accolade.
Yeah, we're a tight-knit community, and it's lovely. And it's nice to see when the new crew come on, how they kind of come to that realization as well, and how lucky they are to
How
be
long
part
does it
of
take
that.
them before the penny drops?
Depends what's going on in their own lives, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're a social bunch as well. So, I think that
there are a lot of
comes
events,
quite quick.
aren't there? Yeah. So I think the Vane will sort of see you en masse on a few times through the year.
Yes. Yeah. And our Christmas party is quite legendary as well. So that's always the highlight.
Where is it this year?
So the last couple of years we've had it at Noodle. I suspect we'll do it there again just because they don't mind if we get a bit rowdy and we don't get told to be quiet.
So long as you don't start another tug-o-war.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're talking of tug-of-war, that's obviously back to sort of fitness. You are a bit of a runner as well, I understand. You like pounding the pavement.
Yeah, a new runner. So it's something that I only came to within the last couple of years. I decided in the run-up to coming to my 20-year anniversary that I wanted to get more involved in the fundraising side of things. And I did the May Day Mile. Okay. Not this year, last year. Right, and it was also the 200-year anniversary for the RNLI's inception. So I decided... Is that beeping okay?
Is that... Well, we'll just carry on.
Oh, sure. So I decided I was going to, for the May Day Mile, run 200 miles during the course of May.
Okay.
And I thought, it's a whole month, easily manageable. It was only the day before when I realised that actually translates as 10K a day. And I hadn't quite done the maths, but I thought, you know what, I've committed to this. Let's go and do it. So off I went in totally inappropriate trainers, having done no training. And I powered through
Lambs
the
to the slaughter comes to mind.
I think I visited Beck's physio 3 times.
Did you? Yeah, good old Bex.
And she asked me to bring my trainers to a session and sort of looked at in horror at what I had on my feet. And she packed me straight off, said, go and buy yourself a proper pair of running shoes, because you are doing yourself some harm. And when the month finished, I can't even remember what the next challenge was that I set myself, but then, I know, I entered the half marathon here. So then I was training for that. After the half marathon, I then entered the New York Marathon, which I'm doing this November.
Fantastic. Wow.
But this year it's sort of become a bit more of an obsession. So I've had several events through the year. I've started mountain and trail running. So I did the Snowdon half marathon. I did the Ogwen 25 kilometers a couple of weeks ago. I did my first triathlon last week.
Where was that?
That was down in Dorney, so it's in the grounds of Eton College, which I had no idea. It was amazing. In the Olympic facilities. Yeah, it was really cool. Really enjoyed that. Triathlons are like. Beck's physio, she's listening to this, be like, I told you. She told me I need to, one, good for cross training, which said two, just for kind of general fun. And it really was fun. I enjoyed it. Now focus is firmly on New York Marathon, which is in November. Right. And then I've started my planning for events for next year, one of which includes my first half Ironman in June.
God.
So from the Mayday Mile, it really has escalated rather significantly. But it's, I've got a very demanding job, very demanding hobbies. Running gives me a lot of headspace. So lots of people run socially. They like running in groups. They like joining running clubs. That's not really my thing. I like running alone. I like having sort of that peace and quiet. And it's a real kind of problem solving time for me as well. Right. And if it is a difficult week, there's nothing that straightens my head out like going for a run. So
there's a book I read many years ago called The Peace of the Long Distance Runner, and it was just about a guy who started just like that. And he just ran and ran and ran. And that was his headspace.
It's almost meditative at some points. You sort of look down and go, you don't realize the mileage that you've covered. And having come from being someone who couldn't run for more than 2 or 3 minutes without being out of breath, which one, as a lifeboat crew, I should be ashamed of, that my level of fitness had got to such a dreadful point. But you do become complacent, and you get comfortable in life. You don't realise, do you? So to get from that to the point where I can now run for 4.5 hours, and just kind of go, I really. I do feel pride in how far I've come. And my younger brother, who is a serious runner, he does big ultra marathons, and he jumped straight from the half marathon to the ultras, and he's on a different plane with it entirely.
How far is an ultra?
So anything over a marathon.
Oh, right. Okay. So like 30 miles or something.
So he doesn't keep all his medals, whereas I do. Right. So I keep them all. Yeah. And he said to me, he said, I don't know why you do that. He said, are you not embarrassed when you look back at sort of the times that you've done and things like that? I said, no, because it shows my progress. Yeah. I said, the fact that, that first time that I did a 10K and I found it so difficult, and I now look at the events that I'm doing. I said, for me, it's almost an entire picture of my progress. So I'm a medal hoarder. Anything that I can go to where there's a medal, I'm like, put it on my neck. I want it. It's something that certainly is a driver for me.
Well, the tug-o-war. There we go. Absolutely. Let's do it. So do you think you'll go on to other things besides, obviously, you're going on to lots of running. Do you think you'll sort of get into any other sport, which is... you're obviously a lady with a mission, and I'm just sort of trying to tease out what's the next mission, obviously, besides your running.
Well, one of the crew asked me that, said, how far is this going to go? And I was like, I think until I find something I can't do. So in terms of sort of the running, the endurance sports, it's... Well, my brother did, I can't remember if is it the UT? I can't remember if it's UTS or UTMB, the 100 kilometers. He did his first attempt of that across the mountains last year. Okay. He dropped out at 75 with an injury. I'm going to try the 50 next year kilometers, which is over a marathon. Right. Whether I get to the level he's at in terms of that pushing, I don't know, or whether I go down the endurance route with the triathlons. So we'll see how the half Ironman goes.
Well, absolutely.
The problem is it's fitting training in around life. They do say for a full Ironman, you basically need to be working part-time. Because the other part of your life is entirely training.
Is that intense.
Whilst I'm still a lawyer, I left private practice 3 years ago and I started a tech startup. So I'm in the startup world, which is...
A tech startup?
A tech startup, so a
A tech
technology startup.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
Tell me a
startup.
bit. Tell me a bit. I'm from tech.
Oh, are you?
Technology is my
Okay.
background. Yeah.
So it's a HR SaaS platform,
Right.
where we take a traditional HR platform where employers will be able to approve holidays, store employee documentation, but we've woven in legal processes to help employers. So if you want to take someone through a disciplinary process, the software helps you to do it in a compliant way. If someone raises a grievance, you can run that in a compliant way. When you're onboarding people, you can do the right to work checks. It generates contracts, it generates policies.
Right.
So the idea being is helping small businesses stay compliant. So we started that 3 years ago. We've added on an e-learning platform. We've also got the consultancy with it. But if you know the tech industry, tech startups are scrappy.
Oh,
you really are
absolutely,
down in the trenches and sort of,
yeah.
working lots of hours and kind
you
of
just wonder where life's gone to.
Exactly.
Put your head above the parapet and think, Christ, well,
So whilst in startup world, I think my limit will probably come from how much time I can devote to training, which there is a cap on that really at the moment.
Do you do it with a team, or is it?
I am lucky enough to have a team, so I am investment backed, which really lucky to be in that position. And then I've got a team of 6 staff at the moment that are helping us kind of get where we're trying to go.
Well, it sounds as though you're on the right track. You're well underway.
Yeah, we're well on the way. But when you look at the statistics, it's like, what is it? Something like 95% of tech startups fail within the first 5 years.
I'm going to say something very close to my heart. Are you making money yet?
Not yet.
No, there you go. Yeah. It's all right. I had 20 years of boards looking at me and saying, well, are you going to make money, Mark?
Yeah.
Well, give me time.
Yeah.
It was, I came from .com. So I went through that and the whole of the .com bubble in 99 and 2000. So it was a very, very exciting time. It was great.
Well, we're only 3 years in and we've only been trading for less than a year. So we are brand, we're brand new.
Yeah. You're running on fumes.
Definitely. But like I say, got really brilliant backing, really great team as well. So we'll see.
Right. So the
see where it goes.
The focus is I'm just going to chill out when I'm running and doing the triathlons.
Yeah.
And then you've got your family and you've got the tech startup. And I think you've also got a bit of a menagerie, a farm that's started.
I mean, the more I'm talking, I'm going, Elissa, what have you done with your life?
What haven't you done with your life, Elissa?
I think I need a holiday.
Fritz, get that message, please.
No, we're lucky enough that obviously we live in such a beautiful part of the world, and we've got the space.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 of the worst behaved Springer Spaniels in the area. Right. Sort of ones that where the beach clears out when they arrive. So it's they're I've got one who's.
I think there's a few more vying for that position though.
I mean, one's 13 and one's 10, 11, and they're still no better behaved, and I'm still waiting for them to slow down. And then we also keep chickens. We took in 2 piglets 3 weeks ago, and then I've also started beekeeping this sort of late spring, early summer.
So just where on earth do you get the time? Where on earth?
The running is where the headspace and the downtime is.
That just sort of brings you all the way back.
And Fritz is the busiest man on the planet. Like if I were to sit home and just kind of wait for him to have some time, I'd be waiting a very long time. So
absolutely,
it's nice because it means that we've got lots of things in the immediate vicinity that we can do together because there's lots going on. Between Lifeboat and everything we've got going on at home, there's always a project that we can kind of dig into together. But both of us being busy, it just means life ticks along quite nicely.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. And so when asking about Fritz a bit, somebody said, "Well, if there's a hill in the way, he'll just move it."
He's a man who likes to get things done. For sure.
With a digger.
With some heavy, loud machinery, and inevitably, there's not a lot of sleep in our house, or actually in our neighbourhood at all. They're up at 5. The machines are starting 5:30, 6 o'clock, and off they go. He works incredibly hard. 6-7 days a week is nothing really to him. And it's a family business now, so the kids are involved as well.
That's right. Yes,
and all working really, really hard. It's
buzzing well, isn't it? Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah.
So do you ever go dunking? I've got to ask. This is just the Dunkers podcast. I can't not ask that question.
Yeah. I mean, I do look at the Dunkers and I think, oh my goodness, some of you are in swimsuits and it's so cold and it's still cold. And I'm a little bit ashamed because the last time I went wild swimming, and I was training for the triathlon. So I was out to go and sort of do some laps in the bay. And I had my booties on, I had my wetsuit, I had my gloves on, and I had my thermal swimming hat.
Right.
And so I'm like there getting ready to get in. And there was a lady further down the beach. She was relatively elderly, so she looked a bit uncertain on her feet, was there just in her swimsuit, and off she went. And I thought, there's me, like kitted up. And I thought, well, I'm going properly swimming, so was she. So as much as people have this assumption that lifeboat people don't mind cold water, it's a total lie. I hate cold water. And I never used to. As a teenager, in my 20s wouldn't be a thing. I don't know if it's like a middle-aged thing. I really struggle with it.
Really?
So I'd if I were to come and do it, I'd probably be the
most
overdressed
Have you ever had a cold
person.
shower? Purposely had a cold shower? Not when the gas has run out or
yes,
whatever.
But only when I've been like feeling ill or like had a hangover or something, and just never purely for the, what would be really nice? Cold shower. No, never. I've just never really thought of cold water that way. Once I'm in, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I am. But it's when I went to the triathlon, I'm really embarrassed to admit this. I had lots of questions when I got there. And I realised I wasn't allowed to wear my boots or my gloves.
Right.
And it literally dominated every second of my thoughts up until I got in the water. Like, my hand's going to be cold. My hand's going to be cold. My hands are going to be cold. It didn't matter.
And you've got 200, 300 other people with you.
Yeah, but just my obsession with, oh my goodness, my hands and feet are going to be cold. Like, it's just, so I need to get a grip, grow up, and actually just try getting in without the wetsuit every now and again.
Well, that mental tenacity I've got to sort of take on board myself, because the Dunkers have shortlisted me to have a go at the triathlon next year.
Oh,
so
cool.
The sprint rather than not the Olympic, I hasten to add, but just I did part of one as a relay last year. So I'm probably going to have a crack next year to do the whole thing. But you got to have some sort of discipline, haven't you?
Yeah, I found it good because with the cross training, I found less in the way of injury niggles.
Right.
When it's just the running, it's a lot of time on feet. And I found that my endurance and my fitness is increasing at the same sort of pace, but with less strain generally.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to do the triathlon here. I couldn't do it this year because one of my closest friends got married on the day, and then I was all getting ready to enter the Triple Crown for next year, and I've got another friend getting married on triathlon day. It's just, I did try and swing it this year, and I said to my friend who got married,
to move a wedding day.
Could I go and do the one in the morning? And she was like, absolutely not. She's like, no, you'll be at my house at 10 a.m. ready to get ready. I didn't get away with that.
Not all friends are fun.
I know. So then I had entered the Anglesey Sandman for this year, which is quite a tough one. But unfortunately, I'm having to defer that because I've been selected to go to the Netherlands on a crew exchange for the RNLI. So I'm going to go work with their lifeboat service for a week. So Fritz is devastated because he isn't getting a Dutch girl for a week.
Right.
They send a crew member down to the south coast. It's not a direct swap in that sense. But it's a great reason not to be doing it. But I'll be in the Netherlands for the week, so I'll have to miss that one.
Okay. There's always a good excuse, and that was a pretty good excuse.
It's a pretty good excuse. It's a pretty good excuse.
Okay, so what we have on the Dunkers podcast is a bit of a tradition, and that is we always ask you one particular question. Okay. And I'm going to ask you, and then somebody has left you a question. So our last interviewee has sort of said, make this for the next. So my question is, if you could dunk with anybody, anywhere, who would it be?
Ooh, I could dunk with anybody, anywhere. That's a really good question. I think it would probably be the Princess of Wales in the Buckingham Palace pool.
Nice.
Because I only found out recently Buckingham Palace has a pool. So one, she's a very good swimmer, she's very sporty. But two, she's going to have all the ins and outs of what's really gone on with Meghan and Harry. And I'm a I love all the royal gossip stuff. So that'll be the one. We'd be doing breaststroke in the pool and I'd be like, so Meghan, do you like her or not?
I think that's a bit obvious. Yeah. But, that's classic.
Yeah, that would be mine, I think.
Yeah. And the question that somebody left for the next, or yourself, is If you've got £50 left to your name and you had to spend it, what would you spend it on?
Oh, now I'm a shopper, so that's quite a hard one.
Oh, 50 quid's not going to long very far, is it?
My last 50 quid, I'll tell you what it would actually be. It would probably be dinner and noodle.
Nice.
I would. I'd go and have the short ribs and a katsu curry and a glass of wine in noodle. That would be, it's a really good one. I love eating in there anyway, but it's one of my favourite dinners. So it would be something that leaves you with an experience rather than a thing.
Yeah. I hope that Noodle get wind of this, because they need to give you that because of the promotions you've given them. But thank you very much indeed for your time.
No
honestly, I had a lot of fun. And as somebody said, honestly, just wind it back because Elissa has got so deep. She goes in a big story. I very much enjoyed.
Oh, well, thank you for having me on. It's been lovely talking to you.
And may the spirit of the Dunkers go with you.
Thank you very much.